Hei og velkommen til ukas livesending her med magasinet Medium. Velkommen skal det være, enten du ser nå live på Facebook, YouTube, eller kanskje du ser i opptak senere. I dag så har vi et kjempespennende tema jeg gleder meg lenge til, og som jeg gleder meg til å lære enda mer om. Det er ayurveda, og gjesten vår er Jessica Winderl, som jeg skal snart få introdusere seg mer. Jeg vil bare si at fra nå av så kommer sendingen til å være på engelsk, så hvis du som ser på har noen spørsmål og ikke liker å skrive engelsk eller noe sånt, så vær snill og bare skriv det på norsk, og så oversetter jeg til Jessica rett og slett. Så det er bare å gjøre det. Og Jessica har sagt ja til at hun vil gjerne ha spørsmål, så ikke vær redde for å stille det hvis du er med nå live. Yes. Okay, welcome Jessica. Thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you so much, Ragna. I am so excited for our chat and to talk about Ayurveda and share this with everybody.
Yeah, I'm so looking forward. Like, as I said in Norwegian before, I'm really looking forward to this theme. Like, I think Ayurveda is so exciting and it's this vast and super inspiring theme. And how to just, it's so many actually simple like tricks or adjustments you can do to have more what's it called again? Holistic a way of living that uses this kind of techniques. So it doesn't need to be super complex. So I'm looking so forward on what kind of tips and what things you can do in your home with your lifestyle. It's going to be awesome. And you just gave out a book about this, Holistic Livsstil. It's actually a Norwegian book.
Yes, yeah. I did. And I'm so excited about this. And you know, Ayurveda is so dear to my heart. I've been teaching it and practicing it for over 15 years now. And first of all, to write a book has always been a huge dream of mine. And then to have the opportunity to write a book about Ayurveda is truly a dream come true. And then I was given the opportunity to choose if I wanted to publish it in Norwegian or in English. And I will be publishing it in English next year, hopefully. But I chose Norwegian first because this is where I live. This is where I run my business. And I think when I'm running my teacher trainings for yoga and when I'm out traveling around Norway, teaching at festivals, doing lectures on my podcast, one of the questions I get all the time is like, are there any books in Norwegian on Ayurveda? And unfortunately, up until now, there have not really been. So this book is really exciting because it is tailored for the Norwegian audience, and it's really designed to get this out there in many people's native language. And
it's awesome.
Yes, I wrote the book, but yes, it was also translated. So we had to work very closely, my publisher, me, the translator. We did revision after revision after revision.
Yeah, I forgot to tell with an introduction. Like, sorry, like you came from Norway, from the US. In how many years ago did you?
Just 7. So I've been here. Just exactly 7 years.
And you have this Atman yoga school where you teach yoga instructors.
Yeah. So it's yoga education. So
yoga education.
My school certifies people to become yoga teachers. Both at the 200-hour level and the advanced 300-hour level. And as part of my curriculum for that, we have a really heavy emphasis on Ayurveda. And so that's how people, I think, have also sort of known me as a teacher, is really talking about Ayurveda a lot. And so that's where people are like, okay, well, you teach Ayurveda. Where can I find more information about Ayurveda? And I was like, oh, well, I guess I'll write a book.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, I'm just sharing the Instagram both for Atman Yoga School, and also you just started. You're a co-owner of Zest Yoga Studio in Oslo.
Yeah, that's right. So
it's brand new. Like, it's awesome, and it will start. It's a summer holiday now, but it will start again in August. And so you've been teaching yoga and Ayurvedic philosophy and wisdom for a lot of years with this Atman Yoga School, and this awesome book came out. So I just also want to tell people that are watching now that you should listen to Jessica's podcast. What's the name again? You can.
One Sacred Pause.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I just love that name.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I just one second. It's awesome. And I just listened to that episode where you talk about this book process, and it's so interesting and inspiring how like um like how you make your dream come true. And it's awesome. And I think just it's like you live more by living more in flow, in following this lifestyle. I think like I got inspired by that. You follow your dreams and you work with the energies and stuff. Dreams come true with this book. It's awesome.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. When we are taking care of our body, when we are taking care of our spaces, when we are practicing a holistic lifestyle where we're taking care of our diet, we're taking care of our routines, our sleep, our personal relationships, our individual relationship to self, what happens is we start to open up those energy channels and we get a much stronger, clearer connection to our intuition. And so that allows us to be guided by our heart a little bit more. So when we have things that we dream about or that are really important to us, I think it makes it easier to bring those to fruition because we're not so distracted by everything else happening. I mean, we're human, but not in the same way, perhaps, if we're lacking self-awareness, if we're not grounded. And I mean, there's so many ripple effects of practicing an Ayurvedic lifestyle. You can practice it like starting today immediately, and you'll start to feel better in your body. And then you practice it for a week, you practice it for a month, you practice it for a year. And then before you know it, it's like not even a practice anymore. It's just part of who you are and what you do. And yeah, I mean, this book came out of nowhere, actually, the opportunity. And I was just like, as I shared in my podcast, I was like, okay, I guess now's the time. I asked for this and I got it. And
it's awesome.
That's kind of, the thing with divine timing too, is I really believe we get what we ask for when we put that energy out into the universe and we manifest that. But the caveat, the trick is we never get it in the time we expect, in the way we expect. It usually comes in some like kind of roundabout fashion. And so, I was like, okay, Jessica, you have an opportunity here. You can say yes, you can say no. And I was really nervous about it. And especially, about publishing it in Norwegian. I was like, what are people going to think about that? And then I was like, no. My heart is saying like, I have to do this.
And it's awesome. But it's so inspiring. Like, I think a lot of people, I know a lot of people are going to love this book, me included. I just have this really good feeling. And I love that you have kind of framed this theme, because it's kind of vast. It's like a how to follow it up. So, but Jessica, please tell us how did you first start using Ayurveda? And you're also a yoga teacher. Like, how did your journey start?
Oh, thank you for asking. I love that. And I think it's really relatable, actually, how my journey started. I graduated college, and like everybody, most people who go to school or a young person starting out their life, you're told this message that your life is supposed to look a certain way, and you're supposed to get a job, and you're supposed to start a family. And it's, in Norway, we say like kind of the A4 life. And I was really lost after I graduated college. And I was like, but that doesn't feel right to me. Like, I feel like I need something different, and I want to express myself in a different way and live my life in a way that is more mindful and more holistic, without even knowing those words yet. And I went through a few pretty rough years where I was really unhappy, self-destructive behavior, and I just couldn't find my way. And then, like, just by chance, I came across yoga, and I had a dear friend of mine who was a yoga teacher, and she was like, we'd have these like really deep philosophical conversations about life and the meaning of life and purpose. And she was just like, Jessica, everything you're talking about is yoga. Like, you have to go to yoga. And my mom's really into yoga. She has been her whole life. And she tried to take me to yoga when I was a teenager, and I hated it. I was like, this is stupid. This is boring. And so even though my friend who I loved was a yoga teacher, I was like, I don't know, yoga sounds a little weird to me. And then I went, and literally within an hour, my entire life had changed. Like, I came out of that first class and I was like, oh my God, I do yoga now. And with that came this like insatiable thirst. I was like, I have found my path. I have connected to this. And Ayurveda is the sister science of yoga. So it's very closely related, even though they are separate practices. And so Ayurveda came just at exactly that same time. And I'd always been interested in kind of like natural skincare and body care products. And Ayurveda is all about that, how we take care of our body using these self-care rituals. And so that's what hooked me in, actually, was like kind of the self-care stuff. And then I went crazy for a few years in a really good way, because I spent all my money, all my time doing trainings, going to retreats, going to workshops. I would go to any teacher I could find. I didn't care what they were teaching. I just wanted more information. And, you know, I have a really, really sweet spot in my heart for that time in my life, in my mid-20s. And it, you know, changed the trajectory of my life. Like, I became a yoga teacher, I became an Ayurveda teacher, and eventually started my school. And so, Atman Yoga School. So really, I guess the short answer to how I came into these practices was out of realizing that the life I was living was too painful for me to continue. And then I found this other way of living that was so beautiful and so open and so gracious, and really made me feel comfortable being myself.
That's awesome.
I think that's what a lot of people are searching for. Like, you know, it's not just a one size fits all in terms of life. Like, there's so many different ways to express ourselves and live our life. And Ayurveda and yoga for me were really like coming home.
It's so beautiful. And I think a lot of people, like, they're watching this, maybe they feel stressed, maybe they have pain and aches or other things that are feeling like a challenge in life. I think Ayurveda is possibly a good solution for, like, it because of what you said, that it can it reaches so many areas, and it what's it called again? It's ta hensyn til. No matter what kind of type you are, if you have a lot of fire, if you have a lot of water, like, you know what I mean with the dosha, you can kind of adjust the way you use these techniques. Am I on the right path here?
You're exactly on the right path. Yeah. So Ayurveda is really based on the rhythms of nature. And so Ayurveda recognizes that we as humans are just a reflection of that nature that's happening outside. And so we use the changing seasons and the qualities of the seasons to help us find balance. And when we're out of balance, you're right, maybe we have too much water element, too much fire element, too much air element, then we are able to recalibrate. And there's specific practices we can do to minimize the excess of that dosha. There's 3 doshas, a combination of the 5 elements. And each of us has all 3 doshas, but we have them in different degrees. So what this means is, if you're a Vata, you have a primary combination of air and ether elements. So very airy, very floaty, very enthusiastic, very distracted, good at procrastination. If you are a Pitta, it's a combination of the fire with a little bit of water element. So these are the people that are very structured and organized. They like rules, they like regulations, they're super motivated, goal-oriented, but sometimes that fire burns too hot and creates anger or irritation in their life. And then we have the Kapha people, which are the combination of the earth and water elements. So these are the people that are slow, steady, maybe not as motivated in some ways, and very, very sweet nature. But when they're out of balance, they tend to get into lethargy. They tend to become very lazy. And so I don't want to use the word like pros and cons, because we don't really say that in Ayurveda. We say we have the qualities when we're in balance, and then we have the qualities when we're out of balance. And so when we're out of balance in some area of our life, like you're talking about, maybe we have poor digestion, we have poor sleep, we're having trouble focusing, we feel low energy or fatigue, we have aches and pains in the body. Those are all just messages coming from the body of like, hey, take a look over here. Something in your current lifestyle isn't working.
But is it like, sorry for interrupting, just with all these elements, is it any way people can find out what kind of dosha is?
Yeah,
It is? Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, buy my book, and
Yeah.
also, yeah, I have 2 quizzes in my book, and of course, there's many, many, many online resources, many online quizzes people can find as
Okay.
well. Like,
Because I
you know,
didn't know that, like, well, how are these quizzes built? Is it like astrology where you put in?
no, it's not
Is it more
actually.
lifestyle
It's more
based?
lifestyle. You answer
Cool.
questions related to a lot of it's about your digestion, your elimination, about your sleep. About one of the big questions is how do you respond to stress?
Ah,
And it goes through the qualities of your mind, the qualities of your body, the qualities of your digestion, and then you'll get a pretty good answer. And the only
cool.
advice I would give to people listening to this is the longer the quiz, the more accurate the
Yeah,
result will be. Because a lot of the quizzes online, including my short one, are just
yeah,
like 10 to 15 questions.
yeah.
And you can get an okay direction there or information, but ideally the quiz would be much longer.
Mm,
And that's what I have in my book with a QR code. I have a
cool.
secondary chart, and the
Awesome.
chart is actually a more accurate way to determine your doshic composition, as we
Awesome.
say it.
Thank you.
And then I'll just say the most accurate way is to go to see an Ayurvedic doctor who will do pulse reading and do a full intake of your entire body and talk to you and ask you
Yeah.
questions.
Awesome. So I just is it then possible, like if you do changes that are good for you, that this and you do the quiz again, can it then change?
Well,
Like,
hopefully not, actually.
okay. So
Yeah.
yeah, just trying to get my head around how this works.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a really common question. So when we take these quizzes and we're trying to determine our doshic composition, we have this word called prakriti. And prakriti means our determined or fixed doshic composition. And we do
Property.
this in
Okay.
percentages. So maybe
Okay.
you're 48% vata, 31% pitta, and the remainder kapha, or whatever your percentage is.
Mm.
Which I also want to highlight that Ayurveda is a very bio-individual science. And so what this means is each and every person will be different from any other person. So what's going to be most healthy and balanced for me is actually not going to be most healthy and balanced for you or for your
I love
friend.
that.
I do
It's
too.
it feels so much more natural and fair. Or
Yeah.
instead of counting calories or working out, you just need to do aerobics, or you need to do running, or you need to do strength. Like it's not. It sounds like a formula or a way of living that everyone can use. It sounds much more natural is the best word I can
Yeah,
use.
and accessible. Like it doesn't make
Yeah.
sense if you're trying to have this really strict, regimented set of rules to how to be healthy. Ayurveda is really about function. How does your body function, and how does the organism of your body function well? How does your brain work better? How does your digestion work better? How does your sleep quality improve? And so when we look, if that's the goal, to feel our most healthy, our most balanced, our most joyful in life, then comparing ourselves to other people actually makes no sense whatsoever, because our goal is very different, or the way we get to our goal is very different. And I think that's what makes Ayurveda so beautiful, is that it's a very welcoming, very supportive life science, is what actually Ayurveda translates into from Sanskrit. And yeah, it's changed my life in so many beautiful ways, and I have seen it change the lives of my students. And this really works for anybody. It's not just like certain people who are hardcore yogis who can do Ayurveda. It's like you can practice Ayurveda and actually not even do yoga. Like if we're
Yeah,
thinking of the
that's awesome.
asanas, the movements. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So, and you talked earlier about Ayurvedic doctors. Is it any Ayurvedic doctors here up in cold Norway?
I
Or is it
know
just in India?
No, I know of 2.
Oh.
And yeah, I mean, I think we're lucky to have 2 even. Although I
Yes.
wish it was more. And it is kind of too bad, because of the strict import rules in Norway. A lot of the Ayurvedic
Oh.
tools that we would use, herbs, supplements, even the body oils, face oils,
Oh, so they're not allowed in Norway? because
they're either, some of them aren't allowed, and then some of them, they're just too expensive to import, or even like my very favorite brand from the US where I try to buy most of my products. And actually they're a wonderful resource. So I'd like to share it on this talk. It's called banyanbotanicals.com. And they have a great quiz you can take. They have all kinds of really great information you can get online. And I like to use their products, but they unfortunately will not even ship to Norway because it's such a hassle with the tolls and all this. Some of the products get sent back because the toll authority doesn't know what it is. And so that's the only downside is it can be a little bit more tricky, but
is it this brand?
Yes,
Banyan?
yes, that's it. Yeah. So I recommend people take a look at their website.
Here's a dosha quiz as well.
Yes. Yeah. Cool. And they're a really reputable brand and company. So really great.
Hopefully things will change. Like the world is a bit crazy right now as well with all the import, and everything is costing more as well. Maybe there will be a bit more balance, like with all the positive information like you and other wise people are thinking about a bit more holistic lifestyle. So I think hopefully we will soften up the world a bit. That's but I think so. We're doing a change one step at a time.
Yeah, and creating the demand. This is why I wanted to write my book in Norwegian also, is because so many people, I think, are searching for a different way of living and want to live more holistically, people are more concerned now about the chemicals and synthetics in their household products and their body care products. People are becoming more educated as consumers about the fabrics that we wear, about everything in our household and in our life that actually makes it harder for us to be healthy and balanced. And so as we become more educated ourselves, then of course it makes sense that we're searching out new resources and we're searching out new ways, products to use. And so that makes me really hopeful that there's this interest in living in a way that makes us feel better.
I so agree on that. And I love that you have wrote this book. And just so in your book, you can do this quiz, both in the book, but also with a QR code. But is it also, do you have because I haven't read it yet, so I'm looking so forward to this. But is it after you find out what dosha you are, what you have most, what kind of element that you have most of in your body, do you have then any, not prescription, but recommendations on how to live according to these?
Yes, absolutely. And so I'd like to back up just a little bit, because when we talk about Ayurveda being a science of nature, so we want to think about the shifting energies through the seasons of the year, through the 24-hour cycle of the day, and then also through the seasons of our life. And so as the energies are constantly shifting and being influenced by what's happening outside, we start to experience that inside ourselves as well. So we were talking a little earlier about Prakriti, which is kind of like our baseline. And that's when you take your quiz, you want to answer the questions as though you've been healthy or feeling your best for a long period of time. So we're trying to actually get to who you are when you're your most balanced. Then we have this other concept called Vikriti or Vikritis. And these are actually the temporary imbalances. So these would be anything from a common cold to having some sort of digestion issue, to a bad night of sleep, anything, it can be very minor, all the way up through the spectrum of illness, ailment, to things that are chronic. Like we could talk about cancer, diabetes, fibromyalgia, anything. So any sort of illness or imbalance is considered a Vikriti. So so the Vikriti takes us further and further away from our Prakriti, our balanced baseline. So what we treat in Ayurveda is actually the imbalance, the part of the dosha or the element that is out of balance. So that's the Vikriti. And hopefully when we treat that imbalance, it's always confusing when I'm speaking. When we treat the dosha that is out of balance, that'll bring us closer to being in balance with
Yes.
our prakriti, the doshic composition that's in percentages. And I know I'm throwing like a lot of information and weird
But
words
it's
out
awesome.
there.
Yeah, I just love to listen to you. I know you're a projector, and when a projector talks like that, you're
yeah,
you're on the right
exactly.
path.
It pulls you in a little bit, but
That's awesome.
So my book and Ayurveda in general is designed to help us do two things at once. The first is to come back to as close to our prakriti, our balanced state as possible. And then also to identify when we're being pulled out of balance. And then to realize using the energies of the elements, the seasons, the time of day, your dosha, then we have specific tools, techniques, food, rituals that we can do to balance you out. So I'll use an example for myself just to illustrate this.
Yes, thank you.
So I'm a Vata Pitta person, and Vata being, very enthusiastic, and creative. Vata is all about creativity. But Vata people also spend a lot of energy outward. And so Vata people get tired very easily. And then they oftentimes will just keep pushing past that burnout stage.
That sounds familiar.
Yes. It's so familiar. And a lot of people, we live in a very Vata vitiated society, meaning most of the society is already out of balance in this way. We're told to do more, do it faster, be more productive, multitask. And that's like the absolute opposite of what Ayurveda teaches. Ayurveda teaches that we should be very protective of our energy, and we need to rest a lot, and we need to take time in stillness in order to rejuvenate and recharge our batteries. And so the Vata time of year is actually the fall, early winter. And we can really see this because as we move from summer into winter or into fall, it gets windier, it gets darker, it gets colder. And these are all the qualities of Vata energy. So this means that somebody who has a lot of Vata in their prakriti, their baseline, is more likely to have an imbalance in the fall. Yeah. So out of balance, that's going to look like being really scattered, very forgetful, very anxious. Anxiety is a Vata imbalance. And feeling really like, okay, we got to do this. We got to go there. Where are my keys? Oh my gosh. Okay. Like that frenetic, chaotic energy.
That sounds so familiar. I wonder if I'm a Vata. I have a lot of Vata Pitta or probably, I don't know. It sounds familiar.
I know. And that's what I love about Ayurveda too. Like when you start to learn about it, you really start to see yourself in these descriptions. And my book has very detailed descriptions. Yeah. And then, and see your loved ones and your colleagues and your children even. And it really helps us with our interpersonal relationships when we understand like where people are coming from and how their personality type is. And so the prescriptions in Ayurveda then would be for somebody who's experiencing this Vata vitiation, where their mind feels like it's racing 100 miles a minute. They're really ungrounded. They're losing things left and right. They can't finish a task. Vatas are notorious for starting 100 projects and finishing none of them. So what Ayurveda would say is you need to slow down. You need to get warm. So Vata people should always be wearing sweaters and socks and hats. Stay out of the wind. Stay out of the cold as much as, we live in Norway, but, bundle up. And and then also specifically drinking lots of warm beverages. So herbal tea, eating warm, nourishing foods. So stews, root vegetables, lentils, things that are going to be easy to digest and really like warm and grounding. And so, and then avoiding things like stimulants, sugar, caffeine. And so what this does, it highlights one of the two main kind of rules in Ayurveda, which is like attracts like. Yeah. So if we have more Vata energy or more Pitta energy or more Kapha energy, that means that we're naturally going to be attracted to things that also have that energy. Now, this is not a good thing necessarily, because what that means is we're going to end up with an excess of that element, creating a larger imbalance. So that brings us to the second rule, which is we balance through the use of opposites. So this is part of how Ayurveda is so intuitive, and it's very simple actually in its approach to how we create healing and balance in our life. So coming back to my example, say I'm a Vata person, it's fall, I'm feeling really just like shaky and I can't ground myself. Well, then I'm going to balance. I've had like attracts like. So I have an excess of this vata, this air and ether energy. So I have to practice the second rule, balancing through the use of opposites. So that means I'm going to bring in water element and earth element to really stabilize, find some heaviness, slow down. This is the time to rest, to sleep, to be cozy at home, reading books or, spending time with your family. It is not the time to be starting a new business venture or traveling a lot.
Sorry if you're hearing a cat. It's my cat. She's meowing.
Oh, it's so fun. I can't see her. I wish I could.
No, she's up in the stairs watching me, eyeballing me here. Yep.
See, she wants to know too.
Yeah, she wants to know too. So.
Yeah. Our pets can have doshas.
Yeah. Oh, I wonder what she is. She is, I think she thinks that she is a queen or a high priestess or something.
Yeah.
So she's really loud. Yeah. Sorry about that.
No, it's all good.
Yeah. No, but this is so awesome. And I'm just ordering your book as we because I just can't wait. And I'm so looking forward to kind of know what kind of dosha I am and how, because what you talk about vata, that sounds so familiar for me. And during fall I have fibromyalgia. Yeah, that's how you say it in English. So during fall I usually have more pain.
Yes.
It's so weird that you said that. That's a lot of more, that it's more troubles during that time.
Yeah.
So,
well, fibromyalgia is a vata disorder. So that makes
okay.
sense, actually.
Yeah. So, but it's like when it gets colder or it's windy or stuff like that, I have more pain. So it's just, it's so weird. So it's like spot on.
Yeah.
So, and I also get kind of, like I love yoga and stuff. So I hope also this brings some hope to people. Like maybe they have chronic illnesses, or maybe like Ayurveda can help people have less pain, less stress in a more natural, soft way than just medicines and stuff. Like I'm not talking down medicines or sciences, like just to be clear on that. But I think to kind of do some simple adjustments with this kind of way of thinking, I think a lot of people will have a lot of benefits from.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's considered like a complementary science. And I love that you kind of merged into the area of talking about Western medicine as well. Like Western medicine absolutely has benefits and some negatives to it. And Ayurveda just helps support that. And I know I can share just a little bit more about my story as well, which I think is really illustrates this point. When I was in 2016, actually right before I was supposed to move to Norway, I very randomly got diagnosed with a rare aggressive form of cancer.
Wow.
And yeah, I was blindsided, and a very strange genetic mutation in my wrist, actually. And
in your wrist?
in my wrist. Yeah, soft tissue cancer. And so everything overnight, my plans changed. I had to stay in the States for my treatment, all this stuff. And of course, I used Western medicine for that. And I also, I guess I shouldn't say of course, but for me, I made that decision. But I also used all of my Ayurvedic tools, all of my meditation tools, all of my yoga tools. And even when I physically wasn't able to move or do yoga poses or whatever, Ayurveda and the daily self-care rituals and routines, like using a tongue scraper, doing a self-oil massage called abhyanga, eating foods that were appropriate for my dosha and appropriate for the season, making sure to really rest and relax my nervous system. All of these things, I think, really helped me have a very good prognosis on my diagnosis. And to such a point, actually, where 2019, before COVID, I was very fortunate and so proud and so grateful to be invited to go to Bergen. And I spoke at the Scandinavian Sarcoma Conference, which is the big, like, doctors get together and talk about this type of cancer. And I got to give a lecture on how exactly I used Ayurveda during my cancer treatment and after my cancer treatment. And so, I've lived this, like I can speak to this and how much it helped me, and it can help anybody, regardless
That's so
of what's happening in your life.
Wow.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy. And that's what I love, is this whole practice. It's so it starts with things that are very tangible and concrete. Like first thing in the morning, you should drink hot water with lemon, or if it's pitta time of year, drink it with lime. Or if you have a pitta imbalance, you drink it with lime. This jump starts the Agni, the digestive fire, and starts kind of cleaning out your system to start your day. And so there's tools and tips and tricks like this in my book, and that are just like commonly established Ayurvedic practices. And so this is where we start. We start with our physical body, and we start with our daily routine, going to bed at the same time every night, getting up at the same time every night. Lunch should be your biggest meal of the day, according to Ayurveda. And ideally it would be a hot meal. It wouldn't be broshiva or something cold, which is hard.
You're brave, Jessica. You are saying that we should not do the matpakke.
Well, I'm saying you should do what makes your body feel well. But according to Ayurveda, no, I know what you're saying. Absolutely. And I'm saying is just what Ayurveda says. And the reason for this is because Ayurveda says that illness cannot exist if our digestion is strong. So all the practices of Ayurveda are very focused on diet, very focused on digestion, very focused on the quality of our elimination, how we go to the bathroom, how often we go to the bathroom. And I just want to remind everybody, this is a science, and a medicine. And so that's why we get so involved in talking about what happens in the body. And one of the things, sometimes people are like, oh, wait, we're talking about bathroom habits now. But when we think about it, there's no way for us to see what's happening inside of our body unless we have an x-ray or surgery of some kind. And so really the only information that we have is what comes out of our body.
Yep.
And this tells us so much about what's happening even in our mind. Like what kind of stress are we under? What are we worried about? What are we thinking about? Because that impacts our nervous system, which then impacts our digestive system, which then impacts the endocrine, like everything in the body is impacted by stress. And that shows up in our elimination. If we eat the wrong type of food for our dosha, if we overeat, there's so much information. So I always like to be really clear about why we talk about elimination. And it's so fascinating. And these are what any one of us can start doing like today, these things to make our bodies feel better and function better. And, coming back to like the matpakke comment, at the end of the day, though, the ultimate authority is how do we feel? How do we feel after we eat certain foods? And with food in particular, Ayurveda teaches that when we eat a meal that is really balanced and really good for our individual body, we should feel light, we should feel satisfied, and we should feel energized.
Yeah.
And I think most of us, most of the time, we feel tired. We feel like we're still missing something, like maybe I need some chocolate, or maybe I need something else. And we feel like maybe bloated, or we have some problems in the stomach. And that's an indication, according to Ayurveda, that, there's some work that we could do there to shift some things. And it's not saying change your diet entirely. It's just saying, notice, when do you feel better? When do you feel less better? And so that's why if you love matpakke, great, eat it.
Yeah. but make it healthy for your body where you're at, with you. So I see time flies, it's so,
I know.
It's so inspiring to listen to you. So I would love to hear for hours about your knowledge about Ayurveda, but just to kind of what's it called, runde av, as we say in Norwegian.
Sum up.
Sum up. What are your best tips to get started with this? Where do you, if people are completely new, of course buy your book, but but what is your kind of top tip if you're completely new to Ayurveda, or what should you kind of start?
I would say just start Googling about Ayurveda, and I would recommend starting with your daily self-care routines. So these are good for everybody. They're easy for everybody to access. So the very first tip I would say is starting with a tongue scraper. And this is like a little copper wire device. They're not very expensive at all. There's some stores, web shops in Norway now carrying these, which is so exciting. One of them is called ohyes.com. You can buy it there. And you use
just wanted to show your page as well, but
thank you. Yeah, my webpage. Yeah.
So
I will be putting a lot of resources up on my webpage, but I don't have any up there right now since there we go.
I just Googled.
Yes, that's exactly it.
Oh, yes. That was what you said, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yes. They sell them, a web shop in Oslo.
Yeah, I just swapped here. So yeah, but just to kind of show what this is. So you use this, like you do first the lemon water and then you do the tongue scraping?
Other way around. You want to do the tongue scraping first thing in the morning when you wake up. Our tongue overnight releases a lot of toxic matter. And so you get kind of this coating, that fuzzy feeling in your mouth in the morning.
Yeah, I like to use my toothbrush and cleanse my tongue, but I never but that's funny because I always wanted to do that in the morning with the toothbrush.
Yeah. Your body telling you. And when you do it with the toothbrush, though, you actually are pushing the toxins back down into the tongue tissue.
Okay.
So it's more optimal to use a tongue scraper. And literally, you just very gently scrape the surface of the tongue, rinse it under the water, do that however many times you need to. The coating will differ every day. Sometimes it's a little frothy and white. Sometimes it's a little runny and watery. And that's also a really great way as you get more into Ayurveda to start to understand any of the imbalances you had the day before from food you ate, from your routine. Maybe you didn't get enough sleep. Maybe you got too much sleep. And then that's the first thing you do. And then you brush your teeth. And you clean your mouth. And there's actually a whole protocol for that in Ayurveda. And then you would have your lemon water. So we want to clean the mouth before we eat or drink anything in the morning.
Okay, so that's like the first thing after
the very first thing.
Then you go and do it. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
Awesome.
And then you can have your breakfast and your coffee and whatever else. Yeah. That's a really great way to start. And I've had people, I was on a podcast like a month or two ago, and she had started doing her tongue scraper again, the host. And she said that she noticed a difference in her digestion right away, actually. So it can really impact the quality of our digestion, as well as helping our body eliminate the toxins that it worked to kind of expel out overnight. So it's, really powerful. And your mouth feels so good. So that's where I recommend everybody starts. Easy, simple. You do it every day. You start a new routine.
That's a really practical and easy go-to tip. And then buy Jessica's book.
Yeah, please do. But
So, and you have so many, I've shared heaps of the Instagram, both for Zest and Atman Yoga School. And I think I also shared for you as well. And you can visit Jessica's site at, is it jessicawinderl.com, isn't it?
Yep, just my name. Yeah.
So, and here's the Instagram again. Here we go. So, Jessica, again, we have to kind of
wrap it up.
I would love to hear about this for hours, but you kind of have to sum up and say goodbye.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me on. It's just such a pleasure to talk with you and talk about Ayurveda. I mean, I could talk about this all day, every day. And that's awesome. Why I made it my job.
Yeah, but you have so much wisdom, and you are so good at communicating about this and teaching about it. So please continue your good work. And I'm looking so forward to be reading this book. And are you doing because this book basically just came out. Do you have any plans on a book tour this summer or autumn?
A little bit, yeah. I know I have a book signing in Oslo at the main Norli there, and I'm going to be doing a little something in Hemsedal, and then hopefully in Trondheim. And I'm definitely going to be putting together some events to promote my book and share it, and hopefully some little workshop things tied into it. So it's not just me buy my book. It's actually some value for people who attend. So if everybody just follows me on Instagram or signs up for my newsletter on my website, then they can stay in touch with all those events. And
I was just about to say follow her your newsletter, because you also have a lot of tips about Ayurveda as well. You get tips on this. So it's awesome. And Unn here says, tusen takk, så spennende og interessant. She think it was an interesting live. So, and thank you for watching, Unn.
Yeah, so awesome.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Jessica. I hope
All right.
maybe you want to be a guest again sometimes. Sometime in
Absolutely.
the
I would
future.
love to. Yeah, we could do Ayurveda part 2 and go a little deeper. But
Woohoo! Yeah, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. So, and you're off for a holiday now, as you said
I
before we went
am.
on
I'm
live.
off to the
So,
airport. Yes, with
to
my
get
little
some
bag
peace.
of Ayurvedic airport essentials.
Yeah. Awesome.
Everybody
Well,
thinks
you can
I'm
make
weird.
like these kits, Ayurvedic.
Yeah, actually, that is what people need on the airplane.
Yeah.
But
So
thank you so much and enjoy your
thank you,
weekend.
Jessica.
All
Yes,
right.
and
Bye
you too.
bye.
Okay. Bye. Thanks.